Started. All right. Let me pray and then we'll jump in. Lord, we just thank you so much for this time together, for honestly just giving us a space where we can speak plainly, where I can train, teach, encourage, inspire, give new ideas to these women who are ready to move forward in their businesses. I pray that you would use my words to encourage them and not discourage them, to breathe life and not breathe stagnancy, and to just really leave everyone here with new ideas, new ways to step forward, and maybe a little bit of accountability in the process. And so we just pray that you would be glorified and honored in this. And we just thank you so much for what you've done, bringing us together through Plexus. Amen. Okay, y'all, I have my notes here because I'm not going to lie. Like, it has been a week where I feel like I have been learning and learning. Do you ever feel like you have those weeks where you're just like, oh my gosh, new idea, new idea, new idea, accountability, new idea? And I've been having a lot of outside conversations with different people, a lot of coaching calls, a lot of those types of things. And so I was just sitting in my quiet time this morning, and I was asking the Lord, like, what can I bring that kind of puts a ribbon on everything I have been learning, that can really help you all move forward? Because kind of the theme right now, I feel like Paul in the Bible, where he's like, I know the things I don't need to do and I keep on doing them, and I don't know why, but I keep on doing them. And I feel like that's the theme. Like, I know the things I need to do and I keep on doing the things I don't need to do. And my business isn't where I want it to be, but I feel like I'm working a whole lot and I don't know what else to do. And so we're just gonna speak plainly today, okay? Do I have permission for that? Hold everybody's toes to the fire, even mine a little bit. Because I think where I have missed the mark a lot in my business, and where I'm betting some of you guys are finding yourselves right now, is that you feel like you're doing a lot of things, but when you get down to the actuality of it, it's really just taking a lot of space here, and it's not actually coming out here. Or maybe it is taking your time, but it's the wrong things taking your time. And so we have to have this real question. Brittany Howard talks about this on the podcast, Rochelle, yesterday, about capacity. Y'all, you cannot build this business if you are unwilling to carve out the time to do that, especially at the place where most of us find ourselves, where we have kind of leveraged our warm markets and we are at the point of growth in ourselves to be able to move forward. And so I want to talk about this idea of 20% versus 80%. Okay. Now, if you've been reading 10x is easier than 2x with us, this concept is really familiar to you. If not, I'm going to kind of loop you in real quick. So basically, the 20% are the things that you need to do that only you can do. Rochelle, can I send reach outs for you? No. Hunter, can I do personal development for you? No. Rachel, can I tell people about the opportunity for you? No. So the 20% are the things that only you can do for your business. Okay. And then the 80%, that compiles the things that often, if I'm going to be honest, they make us feel really good. Okay. So drop in the chat, what are some things that you think might fall into the 80%? The things that make you feel really good or make you feel like you're doing a whole lot with Plexus. You can also unmute yourself if typing is hard, because typing's hard on your phone. Being in group chats, Michelle. Scrolling social media, Julie. Pouring on my team, yeah. Power hours, Hunter. Follow-ups. Stephanie, I would argue that follow-ups and IPA are the 20%. So 80%. What are the 80% things? Kelly, we're talking about the things that make us feel like we're working our business. And maybe they even take a whole lot of time. Michelle, That's honesty. Y'all, who can relate to what Michelle just typed? Thinking about what to post. Kelly's going to start laughing with her food. Canva, Hunter, for real. Yeah. Zooms, groups, text, chats. Stephanie, I would also argue that PD, self-development, is the 20%. So maybe this conversation is what is the 20% and what is the 80%? And is the 80% making me feel successful, but I'm not actually doing the 20%? Over consuming PD and not taking action. That would be accurate, Michelle. So the thing that has been really, really eye-opening for me, and I'm going to say this in the plainest way that I can, until you understand and are consistently taking action to do the 20%, you're going to have a really, really hard time doing the 80%. And the 80% is what actually gives you the leverage to build a team. Did y'all hear that? Until you're doing the 20% in a consistent way that is not dependent on other people, it's going to be really hard for you to do the 80% in an impactful way when the 80% is what is going to help you to build a team. Okay, here's what I mean by that. Trying to take this back to an example. So, okay, when I started Plexus, I was very good at doing my own IPA. Okay, I was doing my IPA, I was posting consistently, I was showing up in a way, and I hit a lid. Have any of y'all ever hit a leadership lid? Yeah, I hit a lid. And I kind of looked around and I was like, oh, I can't do this just by myself. I have to create a space where other people can come in and learn how to do their 20%. Now, here's where I got it mistaken at first. I took my 20% and I set it to the side. And I was like, well, I'll do my 20% with other people. But y'all, when I was hopping on Zoom with friends, trying to teach them how to do their 20%, do you think I did my 20%? No. Were they doing their 20%? Yeah, they were. Because their 20% was coming to the call and learning how to do the 20%. Sending 3 reach outs was 20% for them. Coming up with a post for the night was 20% for them. And what I did is I took my 20% and I like traded it out and I focused all on this 80% and building a team and all of these things. And my enrollments went down and my personal business went down. I would get to the end of the month and be like, well, I've helped people, but I haven't really done my own stuff. Crap. And so it kind of the picture that I feel like I've gotten this week is like, I wrote this down and I'm just going to read this because I want you to understand this. You do 20%. And when you are ready to build a team, you create a space for the 80% because your new sharers will start to learn the 20% in the 80% you've created. Okay, I want that to register with y'all. Okay, let me say it again. You do the 20%. And when you're ready to build a team, or maybe you've built a little bit of a team and you're in a place in leadership where you're like, I don't know how I did that and I don't know how to do it again. Okay. You do the 20% consistently. And when you're ready to build a team, additionally, you create a space for the 80% because your new sharers will start to learn the 20% in your 80%. You cannot have the 80% without the 20%. You cannot duplicate and create a team without the 80%. So for those of you who are like, I'm doing the IPA, I'm doing the work, I'm checking the boxes. My question for you is, where are you creating space for community? How are you pouring into people who might be your builders? How are you creating a space where they can learn and do the 20%? Julie said, so doing our 20% first thing in the morning so that later in the day you can spend time with your team. Essentially, yes. However, what we find is that a lot of people get to the end of the day and they're on a growing to Joel call or a opportunity event or a prospect event, and they have not yet done their 20%. So you guys, what do I see on the call? This. And in a space where you should be actively using the space to leverage your 80%, you're using that to do your 20%. And then what winds up happening is you realize you're the only person getting on huddle calls. You didn't actually invite your new sharers to invite people to the event last night. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you see how this plays out in the big picture? And so when we do things like, oh, look, Tracy's on working, I should go hop on with her. Not until your 20% is done. Now, you hopping onto Zoom and saying, hey, Nikki, you're new to sharing. Why don't you come hop on Zoom with me and I can teach you how to do the 20%. You see how you leverage these things? The Zoom isn't for you, Rochelle. The Zoom isn't for you, Kelly or Mary. The Zoom is for you to grab people and say, come see the 80% while I teach you the 20%. And then eventually they're going to be like, how do I grow a team? And you're going to say, you know what I've been teaching you? So now you're going to do that over here. And then these community-filled events we're having, you're going to go grab people and bring them to that. I was just thinking while I was walking today, and I came up with these 3 things. If you find yourself getting frustrated in your business, it could mean a few things. So drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever been frustrated in your business. Honestly, I've been frustrated in my business multiple times in the past 7.5 years. And I always want to point fingers at other people. And what did my mom say? When you point at other people, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you, right? Like, that's real, y'all. If you find yourself frustrated in your business, it could mean a few things. 1, you're not actually carving out time for your 20%, and your 20% is getting overtaken by the 80%. Because of this, you feel like you're working your business, but you're actually not. And y'all, that is a really hard pill to swallow when you're like, but I'm doing so much. I'm on all of the things. I'm on all of the calls. And chances are, if you're being honest, you're not taking the time to send quality reach outs, quality business asks, and make quality posts. You're spending your time in the wrong places to where you feel like you're doing all of the things. And you can complain with people. Y'all, I heard it so much at Leadership Excellence. I'm sharing the opportunity with everybody and nobody wants to join me. And I'm like, are you really sharing the opportunity with everybody? Like, really? You're picking up the phone and calling people and telling them that you want them to do this with you. And it's like, no, but like I've hopped on trainings and like, I did tell my customer she should think about this. And, I think sometimes because we're doing so many things and our lives are really busy, and if we're being honest, we barely have time capacity for the 20%, much less added capacity for the 80% of purposefully creating a space for community. So there's that. The second thing is your sharers only have time for the 20%, and they aren't giving you any of their 80%. So you feel like a bad leader. Y'all, I've heard it from so many people. I did a Zoom and nobody from my team hopped on. I tried to host a power hour and nobody hopped on with me. I've heard it from multiple people at multiple seasons in their business. I hosted an event and none of my customers wanted to join. And so when we're trying to lead, we're trying to create these 80% spaces. And people on our team who are also sharing, they only have capacity for 20%. And so they're not getting on the spaces that you're trying to create community. And so you feel like a bad leader. The third thing is you're doing the 20%, but the 80% feels like, I don't know if that's the right word. Autocorrect gets me like all the time in notes now. You're doing the 20%, but the 80% feels like an intrusion on your time because you actually don't have time for that. So you're over here and you're like, I'm doing the work. I'm checking the boxes. I'm sending the reach outs. I'm sending the business asks. I'm doing all of the things and I'm having great conversations, but my business is not moving forward because if you're being honest, the 80% is not something you have capacity for right now. And then y'all, what you have to ask yourself is, do I want to build a team? If you want to build a team, you're going to have to create space for that. Safe space honesty here, right? I spend about 30 minutes a day doing my 20%. I can send quality reach outs, quality business asks, and create a quality post pretty quickly now. That is a skill I feel like I have mastered. It's the 80% that takes up 80% of my time with Plexus. Leading, coaching, creating, being poured into as a Joel, having a conversation with a sideline, checking in on each of you, right? So if my IPA takes an hour, that's 20%. What would a full 100% mean in hours a day? 5 hours. How many of y'all are working your business 5 hours a day? And I'm not saying you have to. Hear me say that. Most of you aren't leading teams of this. Nobody's leading a team the size of this team, right? You don't have to do that yet. But I think we have to have an honest conversation of what type of capacity, if you're truly looking to lead a team, you're kind of working towards. Maybe you start out and it's, okay, I'm going to do my IPA for an hour, and then I'm going to carve out 30 minutes to try to create some community. Right? You don't need that whole block. You're not where you want to go yet, right? But if you're only doing one and not the other, or you're only doing this and not the IPA, you're going to find yourself in this spiral that is either I'm doing all of the work and I'm not going anywhere, or I'm giving all of my time away, because I guarantee you there are people who would say they are working 4 and 5 hours a day with Plexus. And I am telling you, it is all going here. They are not actually taking action in the business building IPA activities that are going to move their business forward. Okay. And y'all, there's no perfect model for this. Most days, I do have capacity for my IPA and community and leadership. Some days, I know it's going to be really, really heavy on the community and the leadership. And I'm going to be honest, on those days, I just get my IPA in right when I wake up, and it takes like 30 minutes. Y'all, 15 minutes. I sat down. Today's been really busy. I sent out about 15 messages on Instagram before I hopped on this call. I went to a story. I looked at people who were viewing it, Some were current customers, some were prospects, some were new reach outs, and some were business asks. And I just typed, "Hey Hunter, I know the timing wasn't right in the past, but I'm wondering, is Plexus still on your radar as something you might want to try in the future?" Boop. "Hey Amanda, I know we had talked about this opportunity before and then summer got really busy. I'm curious, would you have about 30 minutes this weekend we could chat?" Boop. Y'all, and the reason I can do that quickly is because I practiced a lot. It just takes practice and getting familiar with that. But what used to take an hour now takes 15 to 30 minutes, if I'm being honest, to really take action and move my business forward, which gives me the capacity, you see that, to lead and create a space for community well. Bye, Elizabeth. So I want you to think of this like parenting, okay? I think everybody on here is a parent. Yeah, everybody on here is a parent. And I want you to think of the 80% like this, okay? So we are like implementing some new chores around the house. And like one of the things Deacon is going to start doing is getting breakfast ready for him and Peyton, okay? He can do that. Oh, they're up at 6 a.m. I'm not. He can do that. He can get toast going and maybe even a scrambled egg. And I already can picture what he's going to say. He's going to say, "Okay, Mom, but I need your help." And I can say one of two things. I can say, "I think you'll be able to figure it out. I don't have time for that." Or I could say, "You know what? Why don't we do it together for a week? And I can kind of teach you how to do some of these things. And then when you feel comfortable, you can probably do it on your own without me. And then how about you just let me know if you need help?" Right? Y'all, that's what we're doing. We can't have people come in and expect that they're going to understand the 20% right away. We have to create a space to teach them. And I would argue that you have to create a space to teach your level ones if what you want is a team. Okay? Partnering together, answering questions, saying, "Okay, are you good? You can do this without me? Because you told me you wanted to build a business quickly. And so what we're going to have to do is like, you're going to have to start doing this right here. And then we're going to come together to create this community for people to come into." Maybe you partner with somebody to do a daily power hour, knowing it's not for me, it's for them, right? Maybe you do a testimony event that's not for you at all, and you just invite people to hear. I think honestly, with all the things we have going, there's a lot that doesn't even need to be created. It just needs to be leveraged. Who are you inviting every week to the huddle that you believe to be a business builder on your team? Who are you inviting to the weekly prospect calls to come listen in? Because this is so incredible. And when you start sharing, you'll be able to use this too. How are you leveraging the things that we already have? And my guess is probably not well, because you're using that as a time to make it feel like your 20% is getting done. And I think we have to have this honest conversation, because I've talked to every single one of you and you are all ready to move forward in your businesses. You are all taking action in a way that says, "I want to move forward in my business." And so we have to kind of look at this and say, am I doing the right things to do that? Am I doing my personal development daily? Y'all, Rochelle and I had an incredible coaching call, and we realized she wasn't taking action in the 20% because she didn't feel like it. How many of y'all have ever found yourself there? Be honest. And I was like, "Rochelle, could you listen to like a podcast every morning while you're eating breakfast?" That was her idea. She was like, "I have 30 minutes while I'm eating breakfast." I was like, "Could you just like listen to a podcast that encouraged you then? And then maybe you'd feel more like taking action in the afternoon when you have another time block." Right? Y'all, the reality of the situation is the 20% it cannot be done well in the nooks and crannies. The 80% can. Checking in on a teammate, asking somebody how their day's going, creating community and a space for people to feel a part. I really don't think there's any leader in this business who gets to the top and says, oh yeah, I never created a space for community. Didn't need to do it. Seriously? You've got to carve out the capacity for that and realize that one, you are worthy of somebody wanting to be in your community. They don't even know me. Yes, they have access to Wellness Warriors, but they are joining you, Kelly. It's going to be important that you create a space, whether that's locally or on Zoom or in whatever it looks like. They're looking to you for that. So if you invite them to the huddle and say, I'm going to be on, and then you're messaging them during the huddle and saying, oh my gosh, I'd never heard Hunter's story. Can you believe it? Oh my goodness, I know what Tracy just shared about the business might seem kind of crazy, but girl, let's just go ahead and work on your first post. What do you think? Afterwards, oh my goodness, I'm so glad you were on with me. We have so much fun on this team. I just can't wait for you to be a part of it. Like, leverage what's there and don't think that me or your upline is going to create it for you. Because while we have this incredible community, sometimes an incredible community can be like the greatest disadvantage for you if you're only looking to it to fulfill your community needs. And you're not bringing people into that. Okay, so we're going to unmute and we're going to brainstorm. Okay, that was a lot of talking. So I need interaction. What are things that you can do to start creating community, maybe even for people who aren't here yet?
Okay,
Are
one
you
of the
looking?
things that I love is that we're doing this walking challenge and even sharing about it in my stories or on social media, like it's adding the like, oh, you're doing this too to for people in my network, in my customer base. And then also is showing other people what we're doing together. And I mean, taking it one step further would be even just like messaging someone local and saying, let's go get our steps in together. So that would be like just a right now example.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, not brainstorming at all, but I could probably count on one hand how many people I've invited to huddle. And I think I got like blinders on of who was supposed to be invited, but it wasn't the right blinders.
Well, let's talk about that. Who's supposed to be invited?
I mean, everyone should be, but I think I was just inviting anyone who maybe would want to share or maybe had shared.
I think I struggle with that too, Hunter, because I think when we originally started it, it was for everyone and then it got more business focused. And so then, and this might be a mindset issue, I feel like if I invite someone to come and then it's more business, that's a turnoff for them. That's what I think. But so then I get stuck and then I don't invite anyone.
Okay, let
But
me
then
ask
I
you
use
a
the
question.
graphics though to highlight the changes that are happening with people.
Yeah. Are you actively looking for new shares in your business?
Yes.
Are you actively talking to people and telling them why they would be an incredible fit for this?
Oh, wait, I lied. No, I'm working with the two sharers who are sharing, but I have not
Okay. I think
reached out.
this is the shift, if I'm being honest. If
Yeah.
you're not actively searching for new shares and actively daily having conversations with current and potential customers as to why they should join your team, it is going to feel awkward and feel like you're hoodwinking people into getting on the Wellness Warrior Huddle call. So, for example, I am actively looking for new shares. I message 3 bold business asks a day to current customers and potentials, 2 to 3. And my friend Amanda, I've been pursuing her about the opportunity. She's been a customer for 6 months. Would y'all like to know what pursuing for the opportunity looks like? Okay. From the moment we first talked, I told her I thought she would be an incredible fit. I don't even know her. She's a boy mom and she's a substitute teacher, and I can just tell she's got grit. You know what I mean? And I was like, Amanda, I know you're starting for the products, but dear Lord, you like filled out my job form on your own. Like you've got a chutzpah about you. I want you on this team with me. Whoa, girl. Let me just try the products and see how they work and yada, yada, yada. Okay. Monthly check-ins. How you doing? Right? Checking in on her. How you doing on the products? Here's a video on detox, all of those things. In her Instagram stories, whenever I see her out with the kids at baseball games, I'm like, man, it just seems like we have so much in common. I cannot wait to talk to you more about this opportunity when you're ready for it. Doesn't even respond. Okay. Hey, we've got this huddle every week. I don't know if you're interested in being a fly on the wall and seeing what our team looks like and what this opportunity could look like, but I would love for you to be on this call with me. Boom, no response. Last week, I sent her a reach out and said, Amanda, I'm at a point in my business where I am looking for 3 people to partner with as we head into the fall. And I am just wondering if this is the right time, would you be open to a conversation? She said, yes. It has been 6 months of pursuing her in the opportunity, responding to stories. Like I've got Amanda, I've got Jessica, I've got Tasha, I've got, I'm trying to think of who else I'm like pursuing for the opportunity. There's one more and I can't think of who it is. That I am pursuing them because I think they would be incredible business builders. Okay. So yes, you invite somebody to the huddle when they post on Facebook or start sharing, but you can leverage it, Julie, and say, hey, look, I know I've told you how incredible you would be at this opportunity and the timing hasn't been right. Why don't you hop on the huddle with us? Just catch a glimpse of what this could be.
I really love that message. Like, that's a great message for an invitation.
But I think if you're not pursuing people for the opportunity, that's where it's not the right ask for a customer.
Yeah. No, and thank you for going through that, because it brought some people to mind. So, and then
Yeah.
the process of it. So thank you.
One of the things they challenged us with at Leadership Excellence is having an additional list of people you're pursuing for the opportunity. And that was really helpful for me because I had it in my head, but I didn't really have it on paper. And you've got to follow up for the opportunity, just like you follow up for the products. And so that's where I think leveraging some of these things, especially if they're already customers, inviting them in on those things. Okay, let's brainstorm more.
Hey, Trace,
Yeah.
Trace, I was gonna add one thing. So since we have the Welcome to Plexus call before our huddle, I've been using that and being like, you're getting them to say yes, that they can jump on to Welcome to Plexus. I'm like, well, since you're already gonna be on that call, go ahead and just stay on so you can be on our huddle. So it's like they might not be knowing that they're saying yes to the huddle, they're saying yes to the Welcome to Plexus. I'm like, well, you're already on, so you might as well stick on, and then you get a taste of what this community is. So I've been trying to approach it that way because I'm like, especially the people that I've been adding lately, I definitely could see doing the business too.
Yeah. So we're not actually doing Welcome to Plexus calls anymore
Well, thanks so much.
because nobody's on them at all. So, but yes. I mean, in theory, yes. Any way that you can be upfront and say, this is a glimpse into our community and this is a glimpse into the business, because I think you would be incredible to partner with in this. We don't want to hoodwink anybody. We don't want people to think they're getting on a customer call and then Michelle or I or Allie or whoever is doing a business training and they're like, what? Like, that's weird, right? We want to be upfront and honest about it. But I also think we're not leveraging it as we could, for sure. How else can you start to create space for community?
Okay, so I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm not using a page I created a long time ago on Facebook. I already have a community and I haven't really paid attention because I took off that hat a long time ago. The yoga community. Created that during COVID. At the same time I was doing baking stuff, I had all these hats. And, last year it was a shift for me. And I kind of abandoned that. I had my Instagram, I had my Facebook, I had people there talking to me. And I shut that, like, I haven't, it's not that I shut it down, I just haven't really poured into it. So I was thinking, I've been wanting to do a yoga event here in my community. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm feeling so much better now that I can feel like I could do something. And honestly, even before Plexus, I've always dreamed of having a community event here in my neighborhood because I want to connect with people. And I know that, I guess you're saying, how can you build a community in all of the ways, right? Virtually or whatever. But I keep going back to one-on-one. Like, I feel like I miss that, one-on-one. Like, I need to see people, I need to hug people. And that's who I am. I feel like I'm so much more genuine when I'm there than on a virtual call or anything, you know? So I feel like I'm missing that, have that, I need to use it and I haven't.
Hunter has a good idea for yoga in the park. Now, Mary, what I don't want is we're not just looking to create community. We're looking to leverage community to grow your business. Those are two very different things, y'all. How can you start creating community to leverage it, to bring people in, to give them the 80% space while you teach them the 20%?
Oh, I see what you're saying. My ambassadors, my prospects ambassadors.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is not bad, but it's not, you're just looking at creating community, which is your IPA to generate your new customers. We're talking about leveraging the 80%, the community, the power hours, the IPA, the events we're having to bring new people in to help them grow a business.
I think it's I've gotten more bold in my asks, and I don't ask enough, that's for sure. Because I think I don't know, it's hard for me just to like willy-nilly, ask. So I know I've got a much smaller, team to already ask from. But I did pursue Taylor. And it's like, so that's proof you guys don't give up on someone, especially when you see something. But I've also, like, through connecting with someone else on Facebook from like a widow group, you guys, like, it's someone that's interested in Plexus. So we've started conversations. She lives in Oklahoma. I don't know this girl. The only thing we have in common is we are both widows. That's it. And with 3 kids. But it's just like, I'm encouraged because we've been talking for the past, I don't know, couple months. But last night she just got a little bit more vulnerable about finances and needing that's, it just kind of already naturally opened that door. So I don't, Tracy, it's not like I can like go to her and just be like, these are the great things I see. And you know what I mean? So it's like, we don't have that relationship, but just being very honest that I was like, hey, like, this is such a great income opportunity. She was on the call yesterday. She didn't have her screen on. But it's like, even afterwards, she's like, hey, I can't do this financially right now. But I said, that's okay. We do have, can I send you recordings we have like separate, recordings of how people, like busy moms, do this as a business. But then I was also going to invite her to like a Monday huddle. Like, I know she's not a part of the team yet, but that taste where it's like, that's where it's like exciting to be like, I know we have recordings of something that I can send her something before that. But then I also want to get her on, keep the screen off or whatever, but get her on a huddle to see the community. And that, like, that feels right and natural to me.
Right. Well, and Rachel, do you see how you're doing your work?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're creating capacity for this space to help somebody else feel like they have connection.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I definitely see that's not, I never view these calls as that's my 20. Like
Right.
I view it because I like to see all your faces. It's like, but at the end of the day, I know that does not, sounds terrible. Like I get fed because I see you all,
Yes.
not because you're helping my numbers grow. You know, I didn't send messages, but it's like, it feeds my personal soul to see
Right.
you all. And that's okay. But it feeds other people, like the people that are in there to getting in there. That's like, yeah, I 100% agree. Either they get started on the products or they're open to sharing and all of that. You know, yeah, I get that.
Well, and you've done it so beautifully with Taylor. And I think that is the perfect example of how it was you and her, you and her, you and her. And then you kind of brought her in.
Mhm.
And now it's not so much you and her, it's you, Michelle, Julie, and her. And
Right.
she's getting to know Cammie and she's getting to know me. And now you've taught her kind of the 20%. She's still got to learn a little bit, right? But now she's looking at bringing
Killing it.
community for people. Like she's looking for people to bring into community.
Mhm.
And so it gives you more capacity to go find more people. Right? Like this community is incredible. Y'all, I said it last night on a call we were on. I think more people stay longer, even when they're not finding the success they want, because of this community. But I don't want to just pretend like that's good enough, if you will. Like my job is to help you all find every success that you want. And so what that means sometimes is having hard conversations, right? And being like, right? I said it before, say it again. There's no road forward without duplication. There's no road forward without pursuing new business builders. If you're stuck and you're not where you want to be, you got to start with your 20%. How am I going to get in the right mind space to do my own personal business stuff? How am I going to do this each day, a few days a week? How can I create space where others can start to learn this? I would say, and this is just an example because I know, Hunter, you're leading with the business with people. Like the moment somebody's open to sharing, hey, can we get on and work together? Just you and them. Start building those bridges to community. Hey, wasn't this so fun being on Zoom? We have this huddle every Monday night. You should hop on with me. Could be fun. Yeah. Monthly customer appreciation dinner, girls' night with local girls. Yes. Yes. Honestly, some of us just need practice being in relationships again. Being open for community. When you're looking at this and saying, I'm looking for people to bring in, it's really hard to be vulnerable. But it is so worth it. I'm going to pull my notes back up and make sure I didn't. Okay, so I'm going to kind of end this with, I listened to Brittany Howard's podcast, Rochelle, you're like right here on my screen. And y'all, I sent it in the chat thread. I feel like she just affirms so much of this that we're talking about today. But a couple of the things that she said is this. Community will attract people and community will keep people. Community will not lead to growing business metrics. Okay. Maybe you're feeling some things right now. I think this was me. This was not Brittany. This was me. Maybe you're feeling some things right now: frustration, shame, unworthiness. Frustration. Oh, this was Brittany. It can lead to two things. So, y'all, I just get Brittany and I confused so much. Kidding. She's awesome. It can either paralyze you or it can drive you. So you can lead this call and you can be paralyzed, or you can start getting curious and asking questions. How can I lead more people? How can I actively be pursuing business builders? How can I create space for community? How can I create capacity for community while also having capacity to meet my own business metrics and do that? Are there schedules I need to implement? Do I need to implement nap time or screen time? Do I need to ask for help from a spouse or a mom or a friend? What do I need to do to be able to do that? And then she said this, when you're determined and growth minded, you leave with new strategies and belief that you can change things and move forward. And it ultimately leads you to growing more into the leader you're becoming. Y'all, none of us have arrived. None of us are sitting here as our best selves. We're always growing and learning and challenging ourselves and wanting to raise those leadership lids. Do not get so focused on the how that you forget the who. You're becoming the type of person who can achieve the thing you want to achieve. So the thing that I want you to really think about, and you're going to hear me say it time and time again, is what do you really want? Do you want to have, because I've heard this from a lot of you, I want 4 new gold legs by the end of the year. I've heard that multiple times. Well, what are you willing to do to achieve it? Are you willing to start pursuing people for the opportunity? Are you willing to create additional capacity for community? Are you willing to get serious about your 20% to where it doesn't require somebody else's accountability for you to do it? And are you willing to ask for feedback? Are you willing to kind of realize this is an area I'm going to have to grow in? And the thing is, it's okay if the answer is like, no. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to us is the reality that like, my life is not set up right now to be in growth mode. Like, I am happy doing the 80%, plugging into community, plugging maybe your team into community, like doing those things, realizing that I'm not moving forward because I'm not doing the things that I need to do to move forward. There are seasons where that's okay. Okay. Hear me say that. But if you're in a season where you want to see big growth in your business over the coming months and years, it takes starting here and getting really clear on that really confusing statement that I wrote earlier. You do the 20%, and then when you're ready to build a team, you create a space for the 80%, because new sharers will learn the 20% in your 80. Leading a team is the overflow. Leading a team, it never stops. You have boundaries for sure. Right? I'm telling everybody right now, message me on Facebook. I've got really good boundaries on Facebook Messenger. But I see a text and I'm like, what does she need? Because that is how I am wired. I don't get frustrated. I don't get annoyed. I understand the hat that comes with leadership. But it goes both ways, right? And so I think we just need to have this real conversation that we had today over where is your time going? What is your capacity? And what are the things you need to shift or can start shifting to start creating a space for people to feel like they can come in to this business with you? Thoughts, questions, rotten eggs? Julie, do you have a rotten egg for me?
One thing, Tracy and I were talking earlier, and I think if I look back at my business, like this ebbs and flows. And so there may be times where you look back and you're like, no, I was really good at that 20%. And I wasn't creating space for the 80. And now I'm really good at the 80 and I'm not creating space for the 20. Like that feels very like natural to happen. And I think also getting really honest about what time I have and what time things are asking of me, because I want to say yes to all of the 80%. It's really fun. But if I look at my life, there, like here in about a month, my life gets a little bit more complicated because of homeschool starting. So that doesn't mean I need to take away the 20%. It means I need to get really honest about what time I have available for the other stuff and how to be really strategic about it. And I've not done that great in the past because I want it. I want the 100%, but it's never worked that way. It's always that I've sacrificed the 20.
Man. Thank you. I had asked you to share that and then I forgot.
It's okay.
And I think having done this for what, 6.5 years almost?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you zoom out and you see that so clearly of like, man, my time got more limited in this season. And then I felt really busy with Plexus because I was plugged into all of these things. But the reality was my business wasn't moving forward because I wasn't taking action in this certain way. And y'all, it's okay to say no to good things. Now you can't eliminate all of the community, right? As long as you're getting filled up, right? The community is there to fill you up also. It's what makes this fun and exciting. And it's what makes our team special. Like it really is. But the last thing I want on this planet is to get 2 years down the road and everybody's still, man, we have the most incredible community and nobody's moving forward in their businesses. Like, that's not what we want. We want incredible community and systems that are moving our businesses forward. We want purposeful community and space for you to create purposeful community and everybody be moving forward who wants to be moving forward, right? That's the goal here. And so I think these are some of the hard conversations that have to happen. Kind of my challenge to you as we get done here is I want you to make a list. I'm not going to tell you how many, but people who are either current customers or good potentials that you would say, I am actively pursuing these people for the business. And maybe you need to think about it. Okay. These are probably not people who've like slammed the door in your face and told you no. Most of them may have said something like, I want to try the products first and see how it goes. Or, yeah, I would be open to something like that, but not right now. Or different things like that. But what I want you to remember is that most people aren't going to get the idea that they could do something like this well on their own. It's going to take your belief and your pursuit of them. You're inviting them into the community you're creating. You're partnering with them, reaching down so they can come up for them to believe that they can. And you can all do that because this I know is true. All of y'all know what you're doing. All of y'all know how to do the 20%. The reality may be you need to carve out the time to do it. Because the more you do it, the more you believe you can actually help somebody else do it. And the more you believe you can actually help somebody else do it, the more willing you are to bring somebody into this. So let's do that. And then let's share our lists. Once you kind of get yours down, share it in the leaders chat. Like these are the people I'm pursuing. And I want you to think about something you could invite them to. Maybe it's for a cup of coffee. Maybe it's for a walk at the park. Maybe it's to the huddle. Maybe it's to our Thursday night call. Think of something you can invite them to next week, okay? To do with you. Don't invite them somewhere that you are not going to be. Okay? Because again, that's just saying, look at this awesome community. You go join them. Have fun. Right? I know, Michelle, like your Rising Leaders call is an awesome place for your team to bring new people in on because you're teaching them how to do IPA. Right? So good, but you got to do it with them. Okay, y'all, that's all I've got. I'm really excited for where we're headed. I'm really proud of all of y'all for like letting me speak to you plainly. It's hard. It's hard when you're like, oh, and I'm proud of you for all growing and being willing to grow. And for just being vulnerable and sharing where you need to make change and you need to move forward. And so I'm proud of you all for that. And I will see you. I mean, I'll see you before next Friday, but I'll see you next Friday because as I told somebody, I was like, it's really weird. Friday at 1 o'clock works for a lot of people. Like, who would have known? Friday at 1 p.m. What? And I feel like it's going to work for even more people as we get back into routine and vacations are done and all that stuff. So, okay, y'all, I am going to hit stop and I will see y'all next week. All right. Bye, guys.